Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of You Haven't Seen That Podcast. I'm Isaac.
I'm Elba.
And this is a show where we cover movies on the growing list of films that has people asking us the question, You haven't seen that? And we are doing this out of Hype Attack Studio. And for those of you who have been listening in the past, that means that we have guests. And this time, it's a Carmona mayhem, whatever. Yeah, so you might hear my voice double. That's actually my bigger brother, Vicente. And my favorite sister-in-law, Kim.
Hello. She's your only
You gotta get on the mic, Kim. Say hi.
Hi.
At least once. You might. Okay, I told her I wasn't going to pressure her to be on the mic, but just say hello to people. This is my sister-in-law.
I am his favorite.
I'm gonna have to raise that up in post. Thanks for the editing. So we are talking about, if we choose to accept it, Mission Impossible. But before we do that, real quick, just want to give some quick shout outs to people, just kind of the business end. Shout outs to a couple of listeners who have been, who first of all gave me like birthday wishes the past couple of weeks. So shout out to Mal, love you. Carlos, love you. Chris, happy belated birthday to him. And then a special shout out to Eric. Not only did he send some birthday wishes, but also like said some nice things about our show. And so in return, I want to give a shout out to him and his business called Little Wins Big Spirits, which you can find on Instagram at Little Wins Big Spirits _. They're a mobile bartending service. They go out to your parties and events to add like that liquid splash of class. So summer's right around the corner. So book them now before they get booked up fast. And then follow us on our social media at
YHSD Pod
on Instagram and TikTok. And if you like what we do, support our show on Venmo at
YHSD Pod,
because it's at YHSD Pod all around. But enough of that bullshit. Sorry you had to sit through that. I want to get to know the both of you. So usually when I have a new guest, I like to get to know them and their movie going habits. So just a little questionnaire, nothing big, no major pressure or anything like that. You can relax, you can breathe easy, but I do need to get you on the microphone because I'm asking you, Kim, a few questions. Are you good with that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. A little closer, thank you. Okay, the both of you guys, are you movie people?
Yes.
Yeah. So I was excited. By the way, I was excited to have my bigger brother here because he's the movie guy.
I sure am.
Yeah. You had a top 20.
Top 25 list.
Top 25 list?
Top 25.
You showed me that list and it was impressive.
It was out of 150, and it took me, 2 hours to dwindle it down to 25, which was really difficult.
So mental specialness runs in the family. Kim, are you a movie person?
Yes.
And like what are some of your comfort movies when it comes to movies?
Anything from the 90s.
Just anything from the 90s?
Pretty much.
Rom-coms?
Yep.
You like Twilight, right?
Yes.
So it's enough we have to know about you.
Thanks.
And I always like to ask people how, because I know me and you have had this conversation, especially with your kids. Like Hope had her opinion that was opposite of yours for this, which is, how do you prefer to experience movies? In the theaters, at home, on your phone?
Definitely at the theaters.
Yeah?
It's always a special thing. We used to go to the show.
The show?
Yeah.
Yeah, wait in line and get your tickets.
Mom would be like, let's go to the show. Like, what show? Well, the movie theater. That was the show.
Okay, because like full admittance, when we had this conversation with Hope, your kid, your oldest, who's going to graduate soon, that me and her were like, yeah, I got to see them in the movies. And you're like, we'll stream it at home.
For what type of movies?
Good question.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Depends on the movie.
Okay.
Yeah, it depends on the movie. Like, what we watch today, you can't watch it on your iPad. You can't watch it on your TV. Even if you have a large TV, this movie was made for the theaters.
Yeah, and we saw it in IMAX.
Yeah.
My God, what a! I can't wait to get into that. And we're going to kind of generally talk about Mission Impossible, and of course, give no spoilers. But generally, we're not going to give any spoilers. But for those of you listening, hit the pause button. It's a good movie. Go see it. Go see it in theaters. But we're going to talk about some things, and if you don't want any of that spoiled, you've listened to our show. We know what we do. What's your comfort movie? What's your type of comfort movies?
Well, on my top 25, I have like 4 Tarantino movies.
Yep.
So I like just like new type of action, something we've never seen before, type of roles of movies. I would say like action comedy / coming of age type of movies.
Okay.
Not the same type of, not that particular movie, but like one thing on my list was like Into the Wild with the kid going up to Alaska.
I don't think I know that.
That's a great movie.
Okay.
Or like Chef, when you're trying to find like a common ground, they do something together. I like those types of movies. Those are my favorite movies.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. And that's why, real quick, that's why when you asked me how do I pick the movies, it was because they were something that connected with me.
I
rather than like that's the favorite movie compared to like Pulp Fiction is better than Godfather because no, I'm not gonna.
Right.
I didn't do that.
I think I remember actually bringing you up when I was doing the Hype Attack and we were talking about reviewing movies and stuff like that because, I think at the time we were looking up like a Screen Rant top 10 and I go, wait, but who gives a shit about what those people said was the greatest based on what? Because art's more subjective than anything else. And so it was more of like an aha moment when you were showing me that list this past Thanksgiving. An impressive list, by the way. I still have that saved and I'm going to explore that because I do want to break down a movie with you.
Yeah,
so.
like on majority of top 10, like top 50 movies or whatever, you're going to have Shawshank Redemption, Goodfellas, Godfather. Yeah. You'll have a lot of those movies that are in there. So each list should be special to somebody. My top 25 is special.
I love it. No, and I think you and I have a lot of similarities because like growing up, I'm your little brother. So like I followed suit and my big brother's watching, for instance, Mission Impossible. And so I'm sitting back there and you're like, shut up back there. And I'm watching what you're watching. And, I've since kind of like ventured in liking my own things. But for the most part, I think there's been movies that you and I can easily suggest to one another and we'd enjoy it. In fact, we were kind of talking about over text of like musicals. Everyone knows this listening. Musicals aren't really my big thing, but you had more on your list than I did mine. Do you think, as far as you two are concerned, Kim, because you're still here on the microphone, is there on the Venn diagram of your movie interests, what are the things that you guys don't like of each other's and what is in that middle of, similarity, common ground?
He'll watch more gore than I will.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Like
just like any horror gore movie.
I don't do that.
Yeah, that's far my side.
You talking about like, Freddy Krueger stuff, like Art the Clown, Terrifier?
Like The Nun, even though we watched it together. Even though we watched it together.
Okay.
I think as we go closer, I think it's more like comedies.
Yes.
Like we'll watch a lot of Jim Carrey movies, Ben Stiller movies.
Yeah.
I think that's in the middle.
He'll watch like spiritual scary movies.
Like ghost stuff and exorcisms and demons.
I can't do that at all.
Halloween episode, we'll have you on, we'll do a Ouija board.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Yes.
I will skip that episode too as well. Thank you.
And then last but not least, as far as like getting to know you guys, what movie is on the top of your list? It doesn't have to be the exact one, but just generally speaking, what movie pops out on the top of your list that has people asking you the question? You haven't seen that?
Into the Wild.
You haven't seen that?
No, I'm saying like on my list?
Yeah. That have people asking you, like, you haven't seen that?
Oh, I don't know. Ask Kim. I'm thinking right now.
Kim, everyone's looking at you.
Maybe Wicked?
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. We were talking about over at dinner and you're like, I've seen bits and pieces.
I just don't. Yeah.
It's fucking lame.
You haven't seen Twilight?
I've seen it. I know of it.
I think Wicked is a good example of one. Because we were talking about over dinner. You had seen bits and pieces, and even Kim jumped in and was like, you gotta see the whole fucking thing.
Right. It just doesn't. It's not that it doesn't appeal to me, which it doesn't. It shouldn't. But I do hum one of the songs, which is the popular one.
Yeah.
Oh.
Right.
But
that
that's because I've sang that our entire
before back in
relationship.
2005 or
favorite
so.
Song.
Oh, okay.
The Kristen
he knew
Chenoweth
that song.
version.
Yeah.
But
look at him pulling up the fun
Okay,
facts.
I know. I was like, okay, all right.
but like something like Wicked, I haven't seen it because I have just no interest. I don't see the appeal for someone like myself to watch it unless it's like something that my kids like to watch and then we all watch it together type of thing.
See, but that's my little point of contention too, because same. Again, I'm not into musicals, and she's like, "We're gonna go see Wicked." I'm like, I don't really want to. And there's all this hubbub and like niche audience, but I'll allow her to drag me to go see it, and I was blown away by it. I'm not the target audience, and I thought it was surprising cinematically, music-wise.
It's beautiful.
And not knowing the music kind of killed it for me because then we watch it a second time and I'm like, Popular's coming up, and it was that much more exciting. So I would suggest sitting down, fully observing it from start to finish. Give it to go to once
Give
over.
it a chance. I'll give it a chance, even though the music's playing in our background Alexa all day. I'll give it a chance.
Elizabeth, our other daughter, she said she won't watch it because
Wicked?
she hasn't seen it.
Interesting.
She said she's tired of hearing it
Oh,
because between me, Hope, and my mom, it's on daily.
Earlier, you were talking about Quentin Tarantino. Speaking of like the standout kid that like doesn't like what everyone else is liking. Ruby's kids, Marlene. Sorry to put you on the spot, Marlene, if you're listening.
Hey, Marlene.
Doesn't like Quentin Tarantino movies. Or I think specifically Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, a lot of people
I'm
don't
not
like
a
Pulp
fan.
Fiction.
Sorry.
All right, we'll mute your mic here.
Yeah,
Lower it down.
The exit's right there.
Sorry. I will watch
Eject
it.
button.
I will watch it. I've watched all of his movies
But
because he's watching them. I
As
will
a-
never go and... Okay, no. I will watch Inglourious Bastards.
Yeah, let's go.
No,
myself.
yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Anything else, I don't think I would ever put on without him being right there.
think about this. Pulp Fiction was number 1. It came out in 94. I was 13 years old. Mm-hmm. I saw it on VHS, so it usually comes out about 9 months after the movie comes out. So I was 14 years old watching that movie, and it became my favorite movie. Why? I have no idea why. It gravitated to me because I saw Reservoir Dogs before that, and I loved that. I don't know what was my mom think having an 11, 12-year-old kid watching Reservoir Dogs.
First episode of the show, I covered that mom let us see some movies we weren't supposed to see.
I just like the storytelling of jumping back and forth to A to B.
Yeah.
It was just I like the way the storyline was the way it was, and then to have an ending that wasn't like a general ending, like there was a happy ending because
Right.
Travolta dies and stuff, and I just like the way it was told. I like the way it was told that way, and it just always just stood in my top 10.
Now that I'm thinking about it, because we were talking about like mental stuff over dinner, do you think it's an ADHD thing?
Wow.
Like the way that our brains are like, yeah, let's jump around to this thing, and instead of
think
like a
so.
linear,
Maybe, yeah.
Because you also love Memento.
I love Memento.
Yeah.
It's on my list.
Yeah. Okay.
I got like 2 or 3 Nolan movies on my list.
Inception.
Inception, Dark Knight, Memento.
Nice.
I think Interstellar was like 27 or something like that.
You had asked me like, yeah, you should make your own top 25 list. I'm like, I can't.
I got 3 Scorsese's on there.
I don't know how the fuck you broke that shit down.
I don't know how he did it either. And I watched him do it. I couldn't.
It was
put-
about 2 hours.
Interstellar would definitely be on my top 10, I think.
Mm-hmm.
No, not Interstellar. Inception.
God, that movie still breaks my back. Well, Nolan does like time exploration like no other.
Yeah.
And as far as like Inception, no, not Inception, Interstellar, he like got scientists to try to, this
It's
is
the most realistic sci-fi time travel movie.
But enough from sci-fi. Let's go into unrealistic spy espionage. One of your favorite franchises, he had said.
All-time favorite.
Easily, right? Now we're in a studio where I think these people's favorite franchises. I know Doug loves
Lord of the Rings.
No, Star Trek.
Oh, that's right.
He's a big Trekkie, and then Rudy loves Star Wars.
I see some, what else?
Some anime fans.
MCU stuff, a lot of anime stuff, yeah.
Is there any Star Trek stuff around here?
Yeah, surprisingly not.
Oh, well, he's not much of a fan then.
So, what attracts you to this franchise, to the Mission Impossible franchise?
We mentioned this in dinner. I'm going to mention a lot of years because that's how I speak.
Yeah.
When I watched this in 96, I was 15 years old. I used to watch The Untouchables. Brian De Palma directed Untouchables. I liked the way he directed that movie. And I knew that this movie was directed by Brian De Palma. So because of that, watching it, I had this anticipation of watching a Brian De Palma movie at 15 years old. I don't know why. And then when I watched the movie, I said, man, this guy made me feel like I was part of that spy world.
Yeah.
And from every scene from the beginning to where he's jumping from across where the fish restaurant collapsed to where he's obviously on those wires, it felt like a Brian De Palma film, but it did feel like a super duper good spy movie because before that it was just James Bond movies. And it was just kind of cliche James Bond movie. This one was like, all right, we're inside the CIA, the IMF. It felt like you were in part of that world.
Especially with the first one.
Yeah.
I think all of us in this room had admitted that we all, from the beginning, except for you guys said he skipped 2.
Yeah, we skipped it.
That like from the beginning, it's this. I mean, it could go head to head with James Bond, but like in a parallel thing where James Bond is more, it's sexier, and you can maybe say that Mission Impossible is like a little more grounded, to not overuse that word.
It is grounded, aside from like the ridiculous stunts that do make you laugh, but they're not to the part of like Fast and Furious stunts. They're just kind of like they're Tom Cruise stunts, and that's like a topic in its own.
Makes it seem like they can be done.
I don't see Pierce Brosnan hanging off of a plane.
No.
I don't see Daniel Craig. Well, actually, the stunt was that he came out looking pretty spicy in those fucking shorts. So,
A little too spicy.
have you guys ever seen the original 60s?
Yep.
Yeah, you have? How is that?
I used to watch it. I think it was on. I wanted to say like Channel 9, like at 4 a.m.
Before you had seen the movie.
I used to watch it, or I forgot what channel it was on. It might have been like a KDOC type of thing, Channel 22 or something. And I like watching it. One thing I liked about the TV show was that the music was always playing in the background. So just like the movie, they do the same thing. There's always some type of music in the background. And they have the theme in the background. So the movie did the exact same thing on part 1, part 2, and all of them. And maybe not the John Woo one. But But the TV show, it was very like, here's a plot. This was going to happen, and then they do the mission, and it was fun to watch. But I didn't watch all of them. But I just know that the character Jim Phelps was that same character from Mission Impossible 1.
I was about to ask, what are the connections? It's him.
It's that because everybody thought like, why isn't there Jim Phelps in it? Everybody thought that Ethan Hunt was going to be the next Jim Phelps because in the series, Jim Phelps and another character were like the main ones. So when you find out that John Voight is Jim Phelps, like, wait, this is an older version. This is a reboot, and back then the reboots weren't a thing in '96.
Right.
So it was just like, what are they doing here? They're just using the name. Like think about '96. Was there reboots? Maybe the Brady Bunch movie or something like that, right?
What a pull!
Yeah, the Brady Bunch movie. Maybe what was coming from the '60s? 30 years later, there wasn't really anything.
Adam's Family.
Credit to that Adam's Family.
Adam's
maybe
Family?
Yeah.
Credit to that fucking pull.
Yeah.
So what's your theory though? Do you feel like it's a continuation of that? Because
No, it's not a continuation.
Because I was gonna say, like, if so, that kind of sucks. If you're a fan of that Jim Phelps, and all of a sudden, spoiler alert for the first one, turns bad.
That's the part where I wasn't really connected with the show, but I just knew that the show was like one of the few spy shows back in the 60s and 70s. But I didn't think it was a connection. I just thought that they were just doing another type of version of a spy show, a spy movie. When the first trailer came out, the trailer spoiled Ethan Hunt and the helicopter crash scene. I remember going to a Blockbuster Video.
So trailers were doing it for.
Yeah.
Let's have a moment of silence for Blockbuster and Hollywood Video.
There is. And I remember seeing that. And if you guys ever seen that scene where he blows up in the helicopter, or the helicopter blows up, it's pretty amazing for 19 years later, 29 years. And so that really caught my attention. So I walked to the movie theaters, saw it where I used to live, and I was hooked watching that movie.
I still remember being a kid and you had it on VHS and you would watch it often.
I will watch it back to back to back.
And you would comment on it. You're like, look at this and that looks so cool. And I'm like, oh yeah. So like you had the original brain for it. And I was kind of more eventually turned on to it thanks to you and then our Uncle Tommy, who like, hey guy, you got this? You ever seen this movie? Like Blue Thunder. I'm like, no. Have you ever seen this one? THX 180 or whatever it is? I'm like, no. And that's when I was kind of introduced into that realm of movies that are obviously way before my years. Like, cause I didn't really grow up, I guess, in that sort of way of like being, you don't know what this was like, but like being a younger brother, you don't really have your own opinions. Right. It's all kind of like pushed on you, you know? Yeah. But which is great because then, I have my interests in this. I mean, I'm doing a fucking podcast about it, for God's sake, but I'm like, we have our similar views on these things, but different enough that we can have a conversation that's not going to go stale.
Yeah. a lot of my classmates at the time, they watched the movie, they liked the movie, so everybody talked about it at the time because there wasn't any internet. So you go to school during the summer, you watch Mission Impossible, you talk about it.
I'm laughing to myself because I forget that you're exactly 10 years older than me, and the rest of the guys on the Hype Attack are also 10 years older. So when they're talking about like, back then, I go, yeah, there's a 10-year difference. So, I was a kid getting dragged to all these things. You guys were teenagers, so it's a whole different fucking world. It is trippy. I want to talk about the redheaded stepchild in the room. Mission Impossible 2. I know we didn't want to talk about it. Where did it go wrong?
The director.
Doves.
So Alva was we were trying to catch up with watching the movies. So I was like a few movies ahead, and I heard her in the other room watching part 2. Actually, I heard you in the middle of part 1, and then starting part 2, and I knew she got to that part. She goes,
Doves.
"Fucking doves." Another dove. I go, yeah, that's John Woo for you. This is the signature thing. Too stylized,
That's what it was.
too sexy.
Yeah.
The physics were completely unreal. Like the motorcycles are flying in the fucking air.
Yeah.
The moves were completely impossible. It wasn't a John Wick, back then, but
What was John Woo's movie before that? And then
Face Off?
Yes. And what happens in Face Off at the end?
Fucking
Doves.
doves.
Exactly. So whatever it was, he just that was his thing.
Frickin' doves.
He better have doves at his funeral. He's alive, right?
Yeah, I think so. John
Woo,
Woo, did he direct Brokeback Mountain?
Did he?
You know what?
Was
Let
there
me look
doves?
that up.
Maybe.
It was
Yeah.
dove tattoos on their lower backs. Yeah.
It's when doves cry.
Was it? Am I getting confused with another Asian director?
Elva, look that up.
Yeah.
Like I'm a lover of John Wick. I'm a lover of those. Like I didn't grow up watching kung fu movies, but I could still appreciate kung fu. And this was very much like wire work,
Yeah.
ridiculous nonsense moves,
It was a typical action movie.
Yeah.
It was an
very
homage to a late 90s action movie.
To
It
me,
didn't feel like a spy.
feels more like they're trying to be like James Bond.
Yeah.
Because James Bond always had the girl. And that is
Yeah.
kind of pushed on MI2.
Big time. Yeah. It was too romantic and too
Yeah.
sexy.
Ang Lee was the
Ang
one.
Lee. Ang Lee did the Incredible Hulk. I think
He did.
Yeah,
huh?
Yeah.
he did the Hulk.
And then that's John Woo.
How could you confuse John Woo and Ang Lee?
Dun, 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 dun.
There's, it's funny though. Go just real quick to close out on part 2. There were some of the movies I remember being a kid where I was like, "That's super cool," because I was a kid. I was 10 years old. Like they just seemed awesome. Specifically, that move where he like does a flip, and then like
the kick.
no, he does like a front flip and like kicks somebody on the ground.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's fucking real. People could do that. No, now that I watch
No.
John Wick and stuff, and like there's judo and karate, like that is so silly. Complete. I mean, I don't even think the rest of the movies acknowledge part 2.
They don't, but one of the things with part 2 is that it started the Tom Cruise does stunts type of thing. Because Ben Stiller and him
climbing.
did that funny bit with the
Oh,
so that started, and ever since
Yeah.
then, I think he just got the bug of just doing more. Because at that time, I think in 2001 he did Vanilla Sky, or something like that. So like he was trying to find his way into the action realm, because what other action movies did he do before? Was it Born on the 4th of July, Days of Thunder?
before the Mission Impossible 2?
Yeah,
I can't say.
And in the night he did Jerry Maguire.
I mean, it's so funny because, people think of kids nowadays think of Tom Cruise as like, the Mission Impossible guy doing the ridiculous stunts, and they'll kind of clown on it and shit on it a little bit, which to them I say, what other fucking movie are they having the actor hanging off the side of a building or hanging off a plane or doing all these things?
Incredible.
To shoot these things, these action films in camera compared to, looking around the room, the Spider-Man films, MCU, X-Men, that's all blue screen, green screen, CGI bullshit that disconnects you from the movie. That's like, is the story strong? Whatever. But it still is this like popcorn, high octane movie to go see, and it's a movie going experience. And I don't know if this is going to be the last Mission Impossible movie, but like the Mission Impossible movies, like from 3 and on, have always been that you got to get your ass in the seats to see it in theater. You have to.
100%.
I heard somebody say like, "Oh, this Mission Impossible, this latest one was okay. You could probably stream it." I'm like, that person needs to disavow their account.
And in the beginning of the movie, what does Tom Cruise say to the audience?
We live and die in the shadows.
No.
What are you talking about?
For
It was
IMAX.
filmed for
It was
IMAX.
filmed
that.
for IMAX.
Look, I even came late to the movie because I was waiting for pretzels and I heard
Do
it.
I get points for quoting the movie?
No.
He did that for Top Gun Maverick as well, and I appreciate any director or whomever is running the show of that particular movie to take that moment in the beginning, just for like the full 10 seconds, to say, especially after the pandemic, thank you for taking the time to sit in this movie and actually, maintain the movie going culture.
He did do that for Maverick, huh?
He did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good.
Hey, how old is he? 60 something?
62.
I think he still looks great.
Dang.
I think
Yeah.
62.
Hey, baby blood, as they say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Scientology money.
Favorite stunts out of all the 8 movies?
Kim? I'm thinking here.
Jump on the mic.
Why do you guys have to look at me?
Kimberly?
I have a good one where you're not going to expect it.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I have no idea.
My favorite, to me, the favorite stunt is the first one, the wire stunt.
Absolutely.
Because
classic.
I just watched something on, I don't know, YouTube Shorts or something, and he had a behind the scene type of take on it. And he was saying that Brian De Palma made him actually hang there and try to find his balance. So when he's really when he's really stressing to find his balance, that's really, well, obviously it's really him. It's not a big stunt, but it's a stunt.
Yeah.
And I think that started him, because if you watch part 1, maybe part 2, there was like some stuntmen. There's no stuntmen in this movie,
No.
in all the movies.
Yeah.
So to see the first one, I think it's that one. That's my favorite stunt.
I know people talk about like the Tom Cruise run, which is sort of like has kind of made fun of itself
Yeah.
and has to have those one. I love a good Tom Cruise run.
It's like him sitting down, but like just moving his arms and legs. To me, that's what it is.
He's very
Have you ever seen
straight
The
back.
Firm? It's a lawyer movie
No, but tell me
about
about it.
attorneys. He's in that movie.
Okay.
Do lawyers run? He runs in that movie. And as a matter of fact, look up the box, the poster for The Firm. He's running. It's an attorney running.
I forgot what I was going to say.
He's running in the shadows or something.
Oh, he is. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. What year was that?
93.
3.
Yeah. What I was gonna say was, other than like the run that he's kind of known for now, I love a good Tom Cruise stressed out face, like doing an action. Because everyone else, Stallone and Schwarzenegger, aside from Total Recall, like everyone wants to look cool doing their stunt. And it's the action of him doing the thing that's cool, but he'll still just kind of like have a crazy tight face and everything.
I think it's because I think when they're directing and when they're doing the scenes, he's really making the moves.
Yeah.
Like look at Maverick. I mean, he's flying a jet. He's making those faces when those G's or whatever it's called. I mean, that's his face.
Yeah.
I mean, when he's in the plane in this movie, that's his face. Or when the air is going through his face and his cheeks are going up. That's
But there's too many actors who would be like, I don't want to look like that on
they
camera.
don't.
Yeah.
But
he
that
didn't care.
makes it believable.
But also,
Very
Yes.
believable.
Tom Cruise is the only person who can go, yeah, my face may look funny, but I jumped out of a fucking plane.
Right.
I did a halo jump. I did the motorcycle cliff jump and everything.
You know what's with his 29 years of Mission Impossible. When you find a movie in between Mission Impossibles that are action movie from Tom Cruise, they feel like they're a treat.
Yes.
Like
yeah.
Edge of Tomorrow, Oblivion. Even though we didn't like Oblivion,
We don't.
I just watched it once or twice.
Okay.
But it's like a treat when you're watching that extra Tom Cruise movie that's not Mission Impossible.
And so that's where I was getting to in my previous rant. My brain's kind of all over the place, but it was exactly that. Like MCU movies have like had their hits and misses, but nothing really has, other than the latest Thunderbolts, nothing really has the in-camera action that makes you feel like, oh, we're watching movies how we used to back in the 90s. Yeah, there's still some movie trickery with miniatures and comping in some stuff, but for the most part, like even if it was stunt doubles back then, it's still you were watching something that felt there was a connection, there's a physical connection to that, which is why I suggested to you earlier, you have to watch The Fall Guy because it's all about stuntmen, and nothing was comped in there. It's all the fucking stunts. I forgot how much I loved stunts. And so, we get a Mission Impossible movie every like
3 or 4 years.
roughly, right?
Yeah.
And you're right. You said it perfectly in a fucking nutshell. Brevity is not in my vocabulary. It's a treat to watch these things. No matter if the story is strong or weak, which I wouldn't say that the story, let's explore this a bit. I don't think that the stories in the Mission Impossible movies are weak. I don't think they're this, gonna, break the mold on how stories are written. Spy espionage, world's in trouble. Let's get to it.
But I like that they make fun of themselves in each movie because I mean they're called the Impossible Mission Force. That every single movie they explain what the mission is and that it's impossible to do in every single movie. So you're thinking, well, how are they going to get away with this one? And then they do it.
It's down to the last second.
So that's like the premise of the movie. It's like they're going to have a mission that's impossible. They complete it. That's about it.
You know what the movie is, and it doesn't fuck around with that. But even still, and actually, me and Alva are having this conversation on the drive here about Glenn Powell. Or, Tom Cruise might want Glenn Powell to kind of take over, possibly the Mission Impossible things. To which I said, I don't think I've seen. Maybe Kim, you've seen Glenn Powell more things than I have, but I don't. No.
They did try doing that with Jeremy Renner.
They did,
and the audience didn't really want that to go that route.
Well, so what I was gonna say was, even though they're ridiculous action films that look really good and the story is solid enough where you can get through and it follows this formula, but not in a formulaic kind of like, oh geez, this is what they're gonna do. It's like, no, they're gonna present you, like you said, a treat. Tom Cruise is an amazing actor. I think he's a really good actor. You named a couple of other films. Was it A Few Good Men?
A Few Good Men, Jerry Maguire.
Born on the 4th of July.
Born on the 4th of July is a great one. Days of Thunder.
So he has obvious
range.
Magnolia.
Yeah. He got nominated for that one.
He has amazing range, and he elevates this what could just be like a B-level action movie to something higher than that. Because someone else I was talking to was like, another Mission Impossible movie. It's so sad we don't get to see Tom Cruise in like some serious dramas. I go, yeah, but did you watch these movies? Because his character as Ethan Hunt is believing in his goal to save the world,
save his friends,
That's
a big deal from like
protect his wife. And
yeah, from Rogue Nation. I think from the Alec Baldwin one, from Rogue Nation all the way to now, it's all about his friends and his family and protecting his wife, like you mentioned. That's a big deal. It's a character. The character is growing throughout his movies.
Yeah.
It's kind of a big deal.
And it's amazingly performed by Tom Cruise because he's able to pull that ability into this role that may just be a B-level movie that is an absolute treat, but I think it's elevated with him. So I can't see who would be good to like quote unquote replace him.
I don't think they should.
I don't think they should. I think it's just
who's the next action movie star who does his own stunts now?
I was gonna say Keanu Reeves, but no, he's like he's slow. Did you see?
50.
Yeah, he's getting old. No, I can't think of anybody.
I mean, maybe The Rock.
No.
It's
Not like Tom
No.
Cruise.
Yeah.
I
But
love
what I'm
The
saying
Rock,
is like,
but not like Tom Cruise.
I don't think there's going to be a next franchise like this, because I think the closest one that we have of a movie star doing kind of their own stunts franchise, it has to be the John Wick movies. I can't think of what Transporters. It's kind of cheesy. I don't. Like there's no other action star that does his own stunts the way he does. Like The Rock is possibly can do it, but he's already getting too old.
and all of the things that you mentioned there, there might be a stunt or two or a sequence where they might, I'm Jason Statham. I'll do that stunt. I'll go nothing to lose right now. Maybe The Rock might be bored for a moment, but for the most part, they're not doing all of
the
their
stunts,
things. Yeah.
To be honest, all the people who do their own stunts are old.
Yeah,
Tom Cruise, Jackie
Jackie
Chan,
Chan,
Jason
yeah.
Statham, Keanu Reeves, Daniel Craig, and Harrison Ford. They're all up
Harrison,
in age. There's no young person that's
so
doing
there's-
stunts.
I don't think there's any. I'm not even looking forward to any new.
No. I think I don't know if I mentioned on mic or I think we did over dinner, but the Oscars next year are going to have the category for recognized as a stunt
Oh, yeah.
people.
That's cool.
Finally,
Yeah.
But the sad part is like around this time, Tom Cruise is not going to do any more action films, nor is Jackie Chan. But I hope at the very least that they get some sort of recognition.
Oh, he will do action films.
but it just won't be
Yeah,
this level.
I mean, this is the first movie that I saw that it said the Tom Cruise production.
Yeah.
There will be more Tom Cruise productions.
and plus, this movie will be nominated for the upcoming awards
Oh, yeah.
season, so it will count as a stunt.
I
movie.
really do hope so. Any favorite moments in the franchise? I know that's like it's 8 films to kind of.
What was her favorite
from.
stunt? What was your favorite stunt, Kim?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I like when he comes back from any fall and just like a cockroach. It's like,
Oh, dude, that was the other thing she was yelling from the room. She's like, "He's not dying. He's a cockroach." I fucking love it.
Favorite moment? I think it's all together. It's the Actually, you know what? It might be Ghost Protocol when they're in Russia. He's with Benji and they're doing the little
Oh, with the water.
with the water. I do like that moment.
That is one of my favorite.
I like that
parts.
moment of like
Remind me?
that spy trickery where they have the screen,
The
they're walking down the
screen.
hall.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, the click.
Yeah, I mean I can't. It's hard to pick, but I think let me back up. I think it's more of the face revealing of the
I
pulling
was
the
gonna say,
mask.
anytime they pull off a mask.
Because
That's good movie magic
the
there.
first one that happens is the first scene of part 1.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, when they're in Kiev or something like that, and they pull the mask. I'm like, whoa, that blew me away. I didn't know that was gonna be Tom Cruise. And then you expect that in all the movies. So whenever that happens, you have to have a face reveal or a mask reveal in every movie.
Yeah.
So my favorite things about the movies, it has to be like those. Obviously, the stunts are there. That's a given. The whole movie is one big stunt. But the face reveals part, it's pretty cool.
That first film, by the way, even though it was in '96, and the special effects hold up.
Yes.
They really hold up.
Yeah.
That's what happens. It doesn't matter what equipment you have or what year it is. If you give a shit, you put some care into detail into it. Looks good.
There's a shot in part 1 where they're on the, what's the type of train that's fast?
The bullet train.
Is it a bullet train? And the shot, it's from a helicopter shot, and it goes all the way, zooming in all the way until you see. Well, if you've seen the movie,
The phone.
it's goes all the way inside until he's putting the gun together. But that shot right there,
It's a wonder, isn't it?
yeah, but you've never seen that back in
No.
95, 96, 95. So watching that, and I caught that. I caught that. It was pretty unique. It was pretty cool.
It's intense. I that's another thing. Like in movies when this camera is like it needs its own stuntman. Like the Halo jump is an impressive one. I mean,
The camera shots, like the first one where they're on the helicopter, hanging on both sides of the helicopter before he does the red light, green light. Look at that shot again, and it's coming towards you, and Phelps is on one side, Hunt's on one side. You've never seen that before ever in movies.
No.
And then once that explosion happens and he flies, he does that pose when he flies. That was amazing. That was the first movie.
that first movie though, man, that is in its own genre. And I know Brian De Palma has that style, but it did something like to the intensity. It just, like you said it before, it's like you felt like you were part of it, right? With those like Dutch angles, the canted angles. I mean, technically stylized, but it did something. It lent something to that movie that it really needed. It just was like an intense spy espionage.
Spy movies are not, they're not front view type of things. It's like the camera's underneath your nose, kind of like that. Right. And they do that and Dead Reckoning when he's talking to Kittredge. They do the same camera angle that they had in the first movie.
Which is why, like, John Woo directing the MI2, you're like, they had none of that. It completely lost the feel. It was, you had said it before, we were talking about other movies and, certain movies feeling like, oh, it's going to be that person, that director's movie. That's what that John Woo one felt like. You know what I mean? It didn't feel like a Mission Impossible movie. It felt like a John Woo film.
And then 3 is J.J. Abrams.
Yeah.
And then J.J. Abrams, aside from his lens flares and stuff that he has, that movie, see, it's not bad when some movies. It's not bad when some movies they're like a Brian De Palma movie, if they're like a John Woo movie. But J.J. Abrams was a J.J. Abrams movie, but it benefited the franchise because it made it really gritty.
Yeah, it humanized Hunt.
And then I think that from that point on, they started focusing on the bad guy rather than the guy from Ever After.
On
Sean.
2?
We don't talk about Mission Impossible 2 as much. But what I'm saying is you get Philip Seymour Hoffman as the villain.
He's my favorite.
And you go from there, even though part 4's villain is like the Russian dude, whatever.
Yeah.
But they started kind of like expanding the way like the villain and the hero are, and all the way up to Rogue Nation where you have like the Syndicate and stuff. And then it starts to build that's why like when it's not a spoiler, but when you watch Final Reckoning, they show all the movies in the beginning because it makes you kind of remind you of what's going on.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. It's just a great franchise.
So let's get into Final Reckoning. Again, feel free to have some light spoilers, but like, don't go like this person lives or dies or gets their arm cut off. What were your guys' takeaway from this movie?
It was probably the best IMAX experience I've ever had.
Really?
Aside from Force Awakens, because that was pretty amazing IMAX.
The best IMAX? Yeah. I mean, he shoots it for IMAX, right? Yeah.
I would agree with that. I haven't had much IMAX experience, but
for me, it would be a quick top 3 would be it would be Final Reckoning, Dark Knight, Bohemian Rhapsody. Those are my top 3 IMAX movies.
Dark Knight was my first one. We saw that. I saw that.
Yeah, I saw it with you. Yeah, but it was made for the movies. I mean, that's.
Some people were complaining about the length of time of the movie. How you feel about that?
I don't even know how long was it.
almost 3 hours, 2 hours,
Great.
49 minutes.
Yeah, I loved it.
Awesome.
Oh, it's regular time.
Yeah.
The length of it didn't bother me because if this is the final send off, yes, it's a high octane movie, and there's parts of it later on, like the second and third act, obviously the third act, where it lends into that high paced, high octane stuff, but. This is still an emotional movie. Like it's a little more heavy on the nostalgia, but nothing where it's like nostalgia. I don't feel like it was nostalgia baiting.
No,
you know what I'm saying? Like there's movies I've done that at the end of a franchise, but this I felt organic.
Yeah,
and how they did it, and so I think that the length of time, the runtime was justified.
Perfect.
And there wasn't one moment where I go, I could have cut that out. No, I liked where everything went, how it started, and. When it finally clicked in, I was like, cool. I'm glad I had all the emotional heaviness, the business on that beginning end. And now let's get into the mission. I was holding my breath.
Yes.
I was oohing and eyeing.
The holding breath scene or that underwater scene, that was intense. Like,
that submarine scene was something
Me and
else.
you were laughing at the same spots because we were kind of like, what the hell else can happen?
I was laughing because she was going...
she was I was squeezing his hand. I was like,
Yeah.
Every Mission Impossible movie, you go, what is he going to do next? Because yes, there's the big stunt, but also like, what's that intense scene that's going to have you at the edge of your seat and clutching your pearls and holding your breath? And that was that one, literally.
The sub scene.
That was intense. That was so good.
Did you see that tracking scene when he jumps out of the plane and it follows him down? The camera guides down towards him. I think they're in the plane and then they notice that somebody's around him, flying around them. Then he runs to the back of the plane. He jumps out the plane into the water. Did you see that shot?
I remember it. Yeah.
It's from the plane into the outside and it follows him down.
It's like a light version of the Halo jump.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, but the way they shot that was like pretty like. Obviously, it was edited to have more like shaking, camera angles and stuff.
Well, that's another thing too. Going back to like the technical aspect of like the camera movements and the editing is that there was no there wasn't really any like fast cut editing. I mean, the action scenes maybe here and there. In fact, there was even a sequence, and I'm forgetting which part. I think on the submarine when he's actually partnering up with the people on the sub, and there's a fight scene, which is like there's match cuts to the fight scene in the cabin.
Yeah.
Which was like, how do you choreograph that? That's pretty good.
Yeah. I was thinking about that too. That's funny you said that. Like 2 fight scenes at the same time.
But nothing other than the intro, which gave me a fucking seizure. Like nothing was too fast cut or anything like that. When the movie started with that intro, that was much as far as like the actual Mission Impossible and then the opening title card. I was like, oh, dude, is this gonna have like really bad fast paced editing? And then it just was slow paced, and you're with Ethan, you're with these different characters, and it takes its breath before setting you up for everything that's going to happen.
Yeah, it's just greatly directed. It's a fun movie.
Your thoughts on it?
It was no, I really liked it. I liked how it ended without saying anything. I think it gave it a clean ending, but it also left it open that if they choose to do another one,
true,
they can, and I like that because I don't want it to be done yet. But I also like how they went a little further than where you're thinking, because for the most part, you think it starts in Ghost Protocol, that they start connecting, but you find out, it actually started
the very beginning.
Beginning.
I love that.
Yeah. I mean, you're not ruining the movie,
No,
but
I
yeah,
know,
it connects to all the movies except part 2.
No, but I like that. You realize, like, everything's connected, and I think that makes it a little more realistic in a way.
Well, you had said it before, like from Mission Impossible 3 was its own standalone thing, but at the very end they mentioned the Syndicate, and that's how it closes out. And then it's just a continuous storyline from then on, even though this final one does connect all but 2 into just one giant epic glory stunt show.
And I think that will really happen. Like if you're a real spy, you can just have individual missions. I think everything's connected.
Somehow it would connect.
And even answering questions that maybe weren't answered, like in part 3. Which we'll get to in a second. Alva, what were your thoughts on Mission Impossible?
I enjoyed it. I think I was just more impressed in the stunts.
Yeah.
And I was doing my commentary in my head, and there's certain things that he was doing, and I'm just like, nope, I can't say this out loud. Like the submarine, I'm just like, oh, he's in a certain part of a town in my head, but I know I'll ruin it if I say it. Yeah.
I had one problem with the movie. That one line Isai Morales shouts out, "Catch me if you can."
Oh
Heinz."
yeah, I felt like that was like a Indiana Jones type of villain. Yeah,
but Isai Morales has been a villain before as Deathstroke in some live action stuff. So as far as being a villain, it's not his first. Really, it won't be his last. Set myself up for a joke.
What was it, Bob? Bob from La Bamba. Yeah,
he did it. He did the Bob scream. Nathan.
Yeah, him and mom have the same birthday.
Oh shit, that's right.
October 1st. Yeah.
I forgot mom's birthday.
Oh shit.
Is it October 1st?
It's October 1st.
Yeah.
Kidding.
As long as you know mine, that's all that matters.
Yeah. March 1st? No, is it? So easy to say you could recommend this movie to people.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would recommend it, but
if you've seen the other ones,
that's the
you
caveat.
have to watch them.
I think you have to watch the other
You
ones.
can't not.
It's not a standalone movie, and that's fine. Sometimes some movies shouldn't be standalone movies. It's a franchise.
Yeah, no, I feel that. That's I as far as like what franchise this movie did, how franchises can be treated, this did it well. Where it's like you have some continuing storylines, and like again, these last 2 were like sort of their own thing. Even though we watched all of them, and you could basically have watched the previous one, but the franchises, Hollywood, are you listening to our show? Give me a job, sponsor us. This is how you can do franchises. I mean, Tom Cruise, and he's passionate. Tom Cruise is so passionate about the movies that he does, whether it's an Edge of Tomorrow or the Mission Impossibles. So
He's Mr. Movie. I mean, did you watch a video of him eating popcorn?
I knew you were going to say that.
Did you watch that? Have you seen it?
it's like a stunt. He's like shotgunning into his
You
mouth.
seen that one?
Yeah.
But only he can pull that off.
Yes.
Anyone else would look.
Weird.
He loads it
Yeah.
into a 9mm and he has somebody shoot it in his face. I do have one question before we move on to, before I ask you guys a rating, before we move on to a quiz. How would you rate? This is going to be a difficult one. How would you rate the Mission Impossible movies?
That's exactly what I did here.
There you go.
Of course you did.
Look at that.
I
Albert,
wrote them
replaced.
down, but I didn't rate them, but I could do it off the top of my head.
Go ahead.
Okay. Top of my head would be 1, and then Mission Impossible 3 would be 2. 3 would be Fallout,
Okay.
and then the rest, it doesn't matter.
Really?
So those are my top 3.
Yeah,
Part
it does
1.
matter. 2 is last.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, it'll be
There she
2.
is.
Then Ghost Protocol will be number 7.
Oh, okay.
Where would you put Dead Reckoning? Final Reckoning,
Final
sorry.
Reckoning, probably like in the middle.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair.
But 1, 3, and then Fallout, which is that's 6.
Yeah.
I absolutely
One,
agree
three,
with that.
six.
Because I love Henry Cavill in Fallout. I mean, he's a good. If you haven't seen the movie, he's a good bad guy.
That was also it was just
John
fun
Mark.
to see.
Spoiler.
I actually forgot about that. I was like, wait, wasn't he a bad guy? How is he a bad guy? It was fun to see Hunt go up against, like, to work with the bad guy in a sort of way, and to see him as like a bumbling idiot, or just to work with someone from another agency, which was the CIA. That is a really good fucking movie.
No, he was FBI.
No, he wasn't.
Yeah, John Lark, Walker, August
Yeah.
Walker.
Was he FBI or was he CIA? I look at you as if you're gonna know.
He was FBI.
Hey, I might know things.
Never know. She might know.
Okay.
It's Henry Cavill. I know.
Yeah, he was FBI.
Yes, he was.
Any other last thoughts before we get your guys' rating on this particular movie?
No. Well, actually, I didn't get a say because I think you asked like your favorite part.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Of any. It's not a big part, but when Benji gets to wear a mask for the first time.
Oh, yeah.
And he's just so damn happy.
That's in Rogue or Fallout, one of those.
I don't remember.
Yeah, because there's an ongoing joke where Simon Pegg doesn't wear a mask. Why is that one of the questions?
Maybe.
Yeah, it's an
you're
ongoing
talking
joke.
about, like when we were having dinner and we were talking about it, and then now I'm like, that's the answer to that question. He's gonna know it. But I wrote it for him, so it's like he's totally gonna know. Okay, so if those are our last final words, then we move on to our segment we call White's Tea Gets Fresh, where me and Alva typically alternate going back and forth on the Rotten Tomato critic and the audience score, as well as giving our own personal ratings. I'm going to pass it on to you guys. 59 and below being rotten,
Okay.
16 and above being fresh. What are your guys' score on Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning? Wait for the music to end. Awkward. I didn't pace it out well. Go ahead.
It's about good high 80s, low 90s. So
Nice.
like a 91 maybe.
Kim?
Yeah.
I would agree with that.
And then what do you think? Yeah, the Rotten Tomato score
Yeah.
there. And then what do you think the critics rated it?
The critics?
Yeah.
Oh, critics. Probably like a 72.
70s.
Okay.
And you agree with? I'm gonna assume that you're gonna agree with
Yeah.
everything you say. And then
Not always, but yeah.
Audience is going to be higher. It's always higher.
what do you think it is,
Like an 89.
Alva?
Critics 80, audience 90.
Okay, yeah.
That's
Higher
right
than
on
I
board.
thought.
Yeah.
I literally said 70.
We heard you. We'll go back to the tape.
I'm
We'll
just
play.
saying.
We'll play it over and over.
Yeah.
Alva, what do you personally give this?
89.
Yeah, I would give it like an 85, 90. Kind of going back to what you had mentioned before, people compare movies to another movie that's not related to it.
Yeah.
It's easy to compare these movies to one another.
Yeah.
And as far as like their rankings, so I base my percentage on those previous movies. Obviously, nothing as bad as part 2, but yeah, I would say like a good 85. It's the biggest epic movie of them all. It's
Yes.
less spy espionage, just more big epicness. These movies work well when, even though they're all trying to save the world in every single one, but they work the best when it is in that realm of spy espionage.
When you see the trailer for Dead Reckoning, you know he does that bike stunt. It's an okay stunt.
Yeah.
This-
You do it. You
Hold
strap.
on. Hold on.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
Hold on.
You're the guest.
But watching the plane stunt, wow.
Fuck. Yeah.
Wow. I was like,
I was clutching.
because at
my
first I was
seat.
like, I remember the color of the plane was different from the trailer. So I'm like, he has another plane. So he goes onto that other plane. I couldn't stop laughing because it was just ridiculous, but not in a bad way. Just kind of this is actually happening. Tom Cruise is hanging from a plane. It was great. I just love that. I love that end scene.
Okay, so that wraps up the White Tea Gets Fresh. Obviously, we all love the movie. A lot of people there. I was hearing some things where people were kind of, just really getting real nitpicky about it. But again, to them, I say, what fucking other movie can compare to this? So, our final segment, we're doing a quiz that's kind of difficult. In fact, it's an impossible quiz.
I accept it.
Yeah, thank you. So I did write it, like I said, for you. But Kim, if you want to jump in, if for whatever reason he happens to not know it, he's your lifeline. If I can believe this shit. Okay. It's 12 questions, right? It's a little, I'm going to warm you up on this one.
Echo Bravo 1-1.
Damn it. How do you know? That's actually pretty good. I was thinking about that one. All right, easy. All right. What does IMF stand for?
Impossible Mission Force.
First off, it's Impossible Mission Force. He's impossible. I'm counting that against you. Number 2, how many movies are there? And name all 8 of them.
Really?
I know.
MI1, MI2, MI3, Ghost Protocol, Rogue Nation, Fallout, Dead Reckoning, Final Reckoning.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
Yes.
It's fucking you, I'm asking. When was the first Mission Impossible released?
96. I'm kind of doubtful a little bit.
It's 96,
okay.
yeah. Who were the directors of the first 3 films?
Okay. Brian De Palma, John Woo, and J.J. Abrams.
We're related, guys. Let's see. In the first film, what was the item of interest they were all hunting down?
Knock list.
And what was that list? What did it do?
It was a list of all the agents that were disavowed.
No.
No.
What?
Kim?
Specific.
For the steal?
Their actual names.
Yeah,
and
those are actual code names, yeah.
Oh, she actually helped you out here.
Kim for the win.
Thanks. Thanks.
In Mission Impossible 2, what was the name of the virus and the cure?
It was, I was going to say chlamydia. It was chimera. Chimera was the virus.
What's the cure for chlamydia?
Yeah.
Penicillin.
Penicillin. Yeah.
And then the what is it? The
Cure?
The antidote of the
Yeah.
cure? I forgot.
Half points.
Kim?
I don't know
was
because we
Chimera?
skipped it.
It was like a weird, like a some type of like Egyptian, like a god, Roman god
Yeah.
name.
Bellerophon.
Bellerophon. There you go.
Yeah. So half a ding on that. At the beginning of MI3, what is Ethan's job within the IMF?
He's like a traffic control like survey dude.
No. That's his cover.
Oh.
Within the IMF, what she asked us? She answered the same way. That's what's funny. No, what is his job within the IMF? He's not exactly a field agent, but he's still working with IMF. What is he doing?
Really?
Did we stump him right now?
Maybe. Hold on.
All right. Oh, yes.
I don't know.
Can I answer?
So not his like his fake job.
Correct.
But the job within the IMF.
Uh-huh.
Some type of consultant. I'm not too sure.
Can I say?
Really? They talk about this?
Alva?
It's a trainer.
He
for new
trains
recruit.
people.
Well, yeah, because he has the Kerry Russell's character.
Right.
Right. So consultant trainer. Yeah. I mean, he
I was looking for the word judges.
Trainer.
because I
Thank
don't
you.
think he was actual trainer.
Yeah.
Trainer.
I think Luther
I
even
don't
says.
think they go
See,
into
if you
it
didn't
very
miss
much.
2, you would have got this one.
Okay.
Okay, number
it makes,
8.
it makes sense though. It makes
You
sense. Yeah,
guys will
trainer.
get this one.
Yeah.
In most of the movies, what is Simon Pegg's character Benji obsessed with?
Yeah.
I love it. I love you guys. And in Mission Impossible 3, what is the item of interest called and what does it do?
Oh, it's the rabbit's foot. Mm-hmm. And well, what does it do
As of MI3.
as an MI3? Honestly, I forgot. I don't think they talk about it, do they? The MI3.
Need a final answer?
It's a virus.
Ooh, half point. They actually never said what it did. They didn't know what
Yeah.
it did.
Okay. Yeah.
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 Because I didn't want to spoil what happened in Final Reckoning.
Which is why I said as of MI3.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
That was a virus. Okay, that's good.
How many seasons of the original TV show are there?
Probably 4.
No. More? Surprisingly 7.
7.
Yeah.
Wow.
Bonus points. Can you give me the years when it started and ended?
I'm just gonna guess this one. 68 through 74.
Close. 66 to 72.
Okay.
Yeah. Last 2 questions. What are the names of Ethan Hunt's parents? Yeah. This list got a little bit more difficult.
I think Kittredge mentions her name in
does.
part
They
1.
did.
Yeah, because they got arrested. And
Mom, Paul Hunt. I was gonna say Martha.
His brother Mike Hunt,
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
Margaret, and Nathan
I was
Hunt.
close
I
to
said
Martha.
Martha, too.
It's in Martha. Yeah.
All right, last one. Finish the quote said by Emilio Estevez. Red light, green light.
Hasta lasagna, don't get any anya.
There you go. See, we're related. We know all the other fun stuff. You just completed the Mission Impossible quiz. Jesus Christ. Any last words? Anything else before we close the show out?
I'm gonna miss the franchise.
Me too.
Yeah.
I'm gonna buy the box set because we do have the box
It
set.
only goes up to Fallout though.
I'm gonna buy the new one.
I got to say, we didn't have to do our homework and like watch all the movies, but what a fun sit through.
Yes.
Not one, other than 2, not one movie really missed.
And it's possible to watch them all in one day.
Did you guys watch?
I watched
Most
Part
of them.
two?
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
fun movies.
Yeah, we did do part 2.
I
did
would
too.
have, but he didn't want to, and 3's my favorite, so he's like, let's just put 3. I'm like, okay.
They made a good addition. They made a good decision of adding Simon Pegg
Yeah.
like into
I
it.
love
Ving Rhames wasn't in a lot of action scenes, but it's just the
No,
casting's
but he's
great. The
good.
casting's always great. Rebecca Ferguson, it's great casting.
I think one of my favorite scenes with Simon Pegg is in Rogue Nation.
Mm-hmm.
They're getting on that like secret train or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
And he sees the mask.
Yeah, and he
Maker, and he, like,
smiles.
He's like, oh, and he's like, oh man, okay.
Smiles. Yeah.
That's something that I wouldn't have caught if I didn't watch them in sequence.
We,
there
I
you go.
rewound it. I was like, look, did you see his face? He was
What's
like,
my?
what?
What do you think was my second favorite franchise? It's not the MCU.
Your second favorite franchise?
I know.
Star Wars.
No.
I think Kevin knows.
Fast and the Furious.
No.
Really?
Oh, you say it a lot.
What is it?
Aw, me.
Back to the Future.
Oh,
mine.
yeah.
Okay, wait,
You can find similarities.
I like that franchise. 3 movies, good. That's a franchise. I mean, it's technically is.
Yeah, I love the days of just trilogies.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah.
See, but then again, we wouldn't have gotten all these Mission Impossible movies. So if they could do something like this, if you're just gonna do it, land for a trilogy, you're shooting for trilogy, go for it. But unless you're gonna do something like Mission Impossible and fucking whatever. Anything else before we close it out? Thank you
I
guys.
accept all missions.
That sounded dirty for some reason.
This message will self-destruct in 5 seconds.
Oh my god, I have to do this in 5 seconds. Thank you, Vicente and Kim, for joining us. We want to have
Thank
you
you.
guys on again. We'll come to you next time, although it'll be a mic short. I don't know if you wanted to be on or not. Whatever. And a reminder again, follow us on social media at
Why Just See Pod
on Instagram and TikTok. And if you like what we're doing, please continue to support our show on Venmo.
at Why Just See Pod.
Thank you once again. We will have, if you've gotten this far for whatever reason, you skipped the middle. I do have a bite-sized, spoiler-free movie review on our social media, so look out for that. And thank you for everybody for listening. Thank you guys. I love you guys a bunch. And I'm looking at you, Vicente and Kim. This was a lot of fun. Finally talking to somebody who knows more, like the shit you were spitting, the facts you were spitting, knows more about movies than I do.
You're welcome.
Am I going to pass this thing on to you? Probably not.
Probably not.
But I want to have you on more often. So,
Yeah.
in the meantime, join us in telling people to let us know what movies are on their growing list of films, and ask people asking us them the question.
You haven't seen that?
No, you got to jump on.
You haven't seen that?
Thank you, guys.
Idiot.
All right. Later.
Bye.